You did not wake up today to be mediocre. So why are you just lazing around? Okay, boom. Okay, today what we will be doing? Today, what we will be doing is 2D and 3D trig. That's what we are doing today. 2D, two-dimensional, 2D, two-dimensional, and 3D, three-dimensional, right? That's what we'll be doing today. So we'll deal with sine rule, cosine rule, area rule, and a 3D problem. Also the area rule if I didn't say that, right? Okay, so let's get started. Let's start with the sine rule. Okay, the sine rule is the simplest rule that there really is in this whole section. Sine rule is very easy. You should remember this from last year. So let me draw a triangle, right? There is my triangle. My triangle goes from A, B, C. So small letter A will be opposite to the angle A, which is the one at the top. Opposite B will be the small letter B. Opposite C is a small c there, right? So now this is what I have, sine rule. So what is the sine rule? The sine rule formula is it's pretty straightforward. So once you know the formula for sine rule, you should be able to apply it whenever and however you want. So this is what it looks like. It would be A over sine angle A, right? So it will be A, which is the opposite of angle A, sine that opposite angle, right? And then if you follow the trend, it's equal to B, right? That's the side, that's the length, divided by sine, what opposite angle is it? B, right? This is angle B. What is it also equal to? All of these are ratios. They are in ratio with each other. So, which is also equal to small letter c, sine angle C. So C, the small c, the length, over, divided by sine angle C, right? So this can also be written in another way, which is still the same, right? It can be equal to sine angle A over A, which is also equal to sine angle B over a small letter b, which is also equal to sine C angle C over C, right? But one thing to note, this is not equal to that, right? Because these are ratios. So if you keep one ratio like this, you have to keep putting the length of the top if you are comparing like this. You have to keep comparing it in the same ratio, right? So it will be length over the angle, right? And at the bottom, if it's angle over the length, is you keep it like that, right? So these are two variations of this. So this is one, this is two, right? You can use whichever one that you want to use. I would advise when you are solving for a length, you put the length on top, and if you are solving for an angle, you put the angle at the top, right? So that is basically it for that. So let's do an example so that you see what I'm talking about. So example 1 under sine rule. So this is sine rule, right? So that nobody gets confused. Okay, so example 1, right? Let's give you, there's my triangle here, which might not be in proportion. Don't execute me, okay? My drawing is amazing. So we have angle 42 degrees over here. We have the triangle, we have angle Q over here. And we have the lengths 20 and 30. Now the question says find angle Q, right? Find angle Q. That's pretty straightforward. We're just looking for a value. So how do I find angle Q? I find angle Q using the sine rule. And again, sine rule is the basic one, right? So no matter what happens, no matter when you get a question in an exam, you always have to check with the sine rule first before you do anything else. So check with the sine rule before you use the cosine rule, right? So the sine rule. So let's check it out. So what are we looking for? We're looking for an angle. So since we're looking for an angle, it will be advisable to put the angle at the top. So I'll say sine Q, right? Sine Q. What does the rule say? Sine Q over what? Over the opposite length. Opposite length is what? 20. Is equal to what? What is it equal to? Sine. So again, keep the same ratio. If I put the angle first here, I have to put it first there. So sine Q, and then on this side it will be sine 42 degrees over the length that's opposite, which is 30. And now if you look at this equation, okay, if it comes down to a university or a college, I would suggest personally that you go for a university. Why? Because most of their degrees are internationally recognized. What does that mean? It means that you can use your degree in other countries. And also another on a smaller scale is like saying, for example, UKZN. A lot of people might not like UKZN. That's true. But when you go to a job interview, it's better for you to say you are from UKZN than to say you are from this other private college that nobody knows, right? So I would go for university rather than a college. But again, that's my personal opinion. Do as you like. How many unknowns do you have? Only one, right? You have Q. That's the only thing that's unknown, and that's what you're solving for. So let's solve for it. So what do? We multiply both sides by 20. That's how we get rid of that 20 in the denominator. So if I multiply by 20, which is 20 over 1, multiply by 20 over 1 on both sides, what do I have? I end up with sine angle Q is equal to 20 sine 42 over 30. Right? Where did I get the 20 over here? I multiply both sides by 20. So it'll be 20 sine 42 over 30. So angle Q is basically going to be equal to the sine inverse of the whole thing on the other side. So it'll be sine inverse of this whole thing, yeah. So I'm pretty sure you can do that, because just put it in a calculator, say sine inverse, and then you put everything that's there. That's the only way, and you can eliminate this sine on this side and find what the angle is. And when I did it, my answer was 26.49 degrees. So I hope you tried. If you didn't get it now, play the video again, watch it again, and try it on your own. Don't just watch and say, no, I got it. No, try it on your own too. Okay, so that's the sine rule. That's basically the sine rule in a nutshell. So what do we look at now? Let's look at the cos rule. The cos rule, you can call it the cosine rule. Right? So let's look at the basics again of the cosine rule. What are the basics? Let's draw the triangle. So what is the opposite? C. Opposite of that is A. Opposite of this is B. Those are lengths, right? So for cosine rule, right, what does it look like? It deals with when you are given an angle, when you are given two sides, and you are asked to find an angle in between that. Or when you are given the opposite side. So let me write down what the formula is, what I'm talking about. So it'll be, there's A squared, right? The opposite of A squared. So that means if I use A squared as the length on this side, it means that the angle that I'll be working with is A, because that's what's opposite to that length. So in that formula, it also has B squared plus C squared minus 2 BC cos angle A, right? So as you can see, the only angle that I have in here is A, which is opposite to what's on the other side. So basically, when you're working with this, make sure that you either have the angle that's opposite or the length that's opposite to that. Because if you don't have either one of those, then you can't find anything, because you have two unknowns. And you can't solve an equation with two unknowns and one equation, right? So this is the first variation. There's another variation. Let's say you know angle B. If you know angle B, which is this one here, that means you have to work with the opposite side, which is B squared. So it becomes B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cos, what's the angle that you know? B, which is angle B. So you have to know either one of these two, either the opposite side or the opposite angle. So the last variation is C squared, which is equal to B squared plus A squared minus 2 AB cos C. So I'm pretty sure by now you get the concept. You have to know either one of them, either the opposite angle or the opposite side. So those are the variations of the cosine rule. So let's do an example to see what I'm talking about, right? So my angle, let me draw a triangle over here. Right? My triangle, I am given 12, 10, and 3. Those are the values that I'm given. And then it says, calculate what, let's say, A is. Okay, we'll call that angle A, right? So we want to calculate what angle A is. What do I do? What did I say? You have to know the one of the angles and the opposite side. So let's say I'm looking for angle A, right? But then I use this as my only angle in the equation. That will not work. Why? Because I do not know what that angle is. Huh? Right? So we have to use angle A. So let's use angle A. Let's see what happens if we use angle A. So we'll say the opposite side is 10 squared is equal to, right? Opposite side, 10 squared is equal to. So the other two sides are 12 squared plus 3 squared minus 2 times, what is this? 12 times 3. So it'll be 12 times 3 cos of the angle that's opposite to this one here, to this side, which is A. So now it's just a matter of solving, because there's only one variable that's missing in this equation, and that is A, and that is what we are looking for. So let me just write here, find A, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for A, the angle A, right? So now what do we do? What's the first step? We take all of this onto the other side. So it'll be 10 squared minus 12 squared minus 3 squared, right? So if I do that, I'll be left with negative 53 is equal to 2 times 12 times 3, which will leave me with negative 72 cos angle A, right? This looks pretty straightforward, doesn't it? So how do I get A by itself? I divide both sides by negative 72. This is a 72, if you didn't know. So this will be 53 over 72, because the negative signs will cross out, which is equal to cos of A, the angle A. So now how do I get A by itself, the angle A? I take the cosine on both sides, the cos inverse on both sides. So that will lead me to angle A is equal to 42.60, right? This is my final answer. That is quite easy. So just put that in the calculator, find out what cos inverse of 53 over 72, and you have your answer. And these are pretty straightforward. These are easy. So you should be able to know these. These will be free marks in your paper. If you get one like this, rejoice, because that's easy. That's free 3, 4 marks, whatever allocation there is to those marks, right? So now let's look at the area rule. That's the next rule that we have to look at. So now looking at the area rule. Okay, the area rule, let me write it there, area rule. Okay, let's draw the triangle again so that we can visualize what I'm talking about. Alright, so we'll label it A, B, C. This will be opposite side will be C. This will be opposite, small a, small b. Right? So now let's say how do I find the area of triangle ABC? Right? The area of triangle ABC will be equal to, this is the formula, area triangle ABC is equal to, right? There are 3 variations of this, which are still equal to each other, right? It'll be half, because it's a triangle, right? Half base times height. What's half base times height? So it'll be 2 sides. So it'll be half AC sine. There is only, in the area rule, there is only sine. There's no cosine, right? It'll be sine angle that's subtended between those 2 sides. So if I chose AC, the angle that's in between those 2 lines where they intersect is B. Angle B, which is equal to half if I choose the other side, if I choose C and B, right? Let's say I chose BC. Sine. There's only sine again. If I chose BC, what's the angle that where those two lines meet? It's A. So the only angle I can use is angle A, which is also equal to half. If I chose the other sides that are remaining is AB sine. What angle is held between those two lines? It's angle C. Right? So these are the three variations of the area rule. And once you know that, you can get your free marks. You can just collect your free marks like they've been given to you. Let's do an example now. Okay, this is 10 degrees and they gave you the side is 13 and the other side is 22. This is P, Q, and that is R. And then it says calculate the calculate area of triangle PQ. Whoa. R, right? They want you to calculate the area of triangle PQR. Does that seem complicated? It might seem complicated. By the way, that is 10, not 100. 10 degrees. Okay, so it does not seem that complicated, right? So what do I need to do? What I need to do is look at my formulas, right? What does it say? It says if I choose two lines, I have to use the angle between those two lines where those two lines intersect. So let me choose those lines where it's 22 and 33 and 13. I mean, those are the only lines I know. So let's use those. So I'll say area of triangle PQR is equal to, and then I say half 13 times 22, right? And I remember I said there's only sine, there's no cos, so it'll be sine. So now what angle do I use? Not only do I only have one, they could have given me other angles. They could have given me 20 over here and whatever else is the remainder of that, right? But now I can't use sine 20 because that's not the angle that's held between those two lines that I'm using. The angle that is held between the lines 22 and 13 is 10 degrees. So I have to use that angle, which is angle Q. So 10 degrees, which will result in me. So now I just put in the calculator and I get the results. This is a free mark for you. So if I get this in exam, I would rejoice and quickly take my marks and run away with them. So it'll be 24.83 units squared because again this is area, right? So now let me do a 3D trig problem, right? Because you will be faced with 3D trig problems, especially in your paper 2. So you need to be ready for them, right? So okay, so now this is my example for trig, right? My example is a triangle. This is a 3D triangle. You might not be able to see the artisticness of the 3D, but let's say this is the ground and that's a pole going up at the back, right? So now what they will ask you is say calculate the height h, for example. They'll probably put this, they won't draw this for you. They'll put in a word problem, right? And then they say calculate the height of the pole at the back, that's h, right? So where do I start? Where do I start is, let me use the sine rule, because you always have to check with the sine rule first before you use any other rule. So if I use the sine rule, I will have to say, let's say for example, if I say RS, the line RS divided by the sine of RS. What is opposite the sine RS is sine of this angle here. But if you see these two lines here, what does it mean? It means that those two lines are equal. If those two lines are equal, it means that that triangle at the bottom is an isosceles triangle. And if it's an isosceles triangle, it means that this angle and that angle are equal. If those two angles are equal, what does it mean? It means that I can find what that angle is. I can just say 180 minus 130 divided by 2, right? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to write it as sine 180 minus 130 divided by 2. Because I know that's what that angle is equal to. So whatever angle this is equal to, that's the same as that one there, right? So now once I do that, what is this also equal to? Because again, what is this? The sine rule, it's a ratio. So what is that equal to? What other side can I use that I know where I won't come up with another unknown variable? You're probably asking, why did I use RS? I use RS, why? Because I know there's an angle over there. They gave me an angle 20. So it will probably be advisable to go in that direction instead of this direction where I don't know anything, where I have more unknowns. So now on this, I need to say equal to. Equal to what? In the same triangle, which other side, which other angle and side can I use which I know so that I don't have another unknown? I can use the sine 130 over there with the opposite side 10 units. So what did I start with? I started with the side. So I had to start with the side on top. So it will be 10 over sine 130. Right? So I have 10 over sine 130. Those sides are known. So now the only thing that I don't know is RS. Right? Can I find what RS is? Of course I can. Right? So let me simplify this a little bit further. RS is equal to 180 minus 130 is 50 divided by 2 is 25. So this will be sine 25 is equal to 10 over sine 130. Okay? I don't think I need to show you how to simplify this to get RS. RS, for you to get RS by
study for an hour and then take a 15-minute break. Set a timer. And then study for another hour, then set another 15-minute break. Then study for another hour, then after that you can take a longer break. This method is to make sure that you follow your schedule, because the 15-minute break you're supposed to, when it finishes, it's finished. Don't be going over the line when it's finished, right? And study for only an hour. Don't study for less or for more. You could study for 45 minutes also, but an hour is a good amount.
So if you just multiply both sides by sine 25, and if you multiply both sides by sine 25, you get RS is equal to the value that I got was 5.52 units, right? So again, how did I get 5.52 units? I multiplied both sides by sine 25 over 1 times sine 25 over 1. All right, that's how I eliminate the sign on this side, because now the sign crosses out with that and we left with RS on that side. So that's how I get 10 sine 25 divided by sine 130, which results in 5.52. 5.52, right? 5.52 units, right? But that's not the question. The question does not say find what RS is. It does not ask that. What it asks is calculate the height h. The height h. Okay, so now I'm looking at that space where I am now, where I know that angle and I know that side. So what can I do? Let me see if the sine rule will work. So I'm working with this triangle here now, the one on the side like that. So I know that angle there. So let me say, if I say sine, since I'm looking for h, let me just start with h. I'll write h over sine 20, right, is equal to, what other side can I use that I know both sides of? I know the angle and I know the angle and I know the what's it called? The side. So another thing, this is that I didn't put on the graph. This is a 90 degree angle. So those things are sitting at a 90 degree angle, right? So what side do I know over here? Can I use sine 90 over RS, over VS? No, I can't, because I don't know what VS is. But can I use that angle at the top over here opposite to RS? Yes, I do know RS, but at the moment I do not know what that angle is at the top. But can I find out what it is? Of course I can, because I know that that's 90 and I know that's 20. So I can just use the sum of a triangle, which is equal to 180. So I'll say 180 minus 90 minus 20 is that angle there. So let me write it down. So since I started with the distance at the top on this side, so I have to start with distance on this side. So it'll be 5.52. That's what RS is equal to, right? So RS is 5.52, right? So now what do? I say sine. What's that's the side that's the opposite angle that I have to use. Sine of, what was the angle on that side? It's 180 minus 90 minus 20, right? Because it's the sum of a triangle. for me to get that angle there, I had to subtract 180 from that angle and that angle there. That's what I have over there. So now to simplify this, I will have h over sine 20, which is equal to 5.52 over 180 minus 90. What is 180 minus 90 minus 20? It should be equal to 70. So this will be sine 70. Right? Don't confuse this with 20. This is sine 70. Right? So therefore, once I have this, again, it's the same process. Because I know what, I only have one variable that is unknown in this equation, and that is h. So h is the only unknown variable. What do? I multiply both sides by sine 20. So I multiply this by sine 20 over 1, sine 20 over 1, right? So I'm left with h on this side, which is equal to sine, so it'll be 5.52 sine 20 over sine 70. What does that result in? Put it in your calculator. What I got was 2.01 units. So my height for this is 2.01 units, right? So that is the value, that is the question, that's what it asks, right? Although above I did find RS is equal to 5.52, that was just to help me to find my final solution, which is equal to 2.01 units. So basically that's what it is on 2D and 3D trig. You have to practice, you have to do more examples to get comfortable with this stuff. So that's it. Go check out the next video, drop it up quickly. Boom.